You know what? Let me just get straight to the point because I know your time is precious. I'm Dr. Cheryl Lim. I've been practicing medicine here in Singapore for more than 20 years already. And today I want to talk about something that most men don't want to discuss openly: prostate health and masturbation. There, I said it. No need to beat around the bush lah. A Harvard University study found that men who ejaculate more than 21 times per month have a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who ejaculate less than 7 times monthly. This finding alone should make you sit up and pay attention, right? But wait, there's so much more to understand about this connection. Throughout my career, I've seen thousands of patients walk into my clinic at Tan Tock Seng, and let me tell you, the number of men who come in with prostate problems only after the symptoms become unbearable is really quite alarming. Many of them could have prevented or detected their conditions much earlier if only they had more information and less stigma surrounding this topic. So let's talk about the prostate first. What exactly is this small gland that causes so much trouble? The prostate is a tiny gland, roughly the size of a chiku, that plays an essential role in the male reproductive system. It produces prostatic fluid, which is a major component of semen, and sits right in front of the rectum and below the bladder. Despite its importance, many people only become interested in their prostate when problems arise, such as pain, difficulty urinating, or even cancer that begins to manifest. To give you an idea of how serious this can be, prostate cancer is the second most common cancer among men worldwide after skin cancer. Here in Singapore, the numbers are equally concerning. According to the Singapore Cancer Registry, prostate cancer is among the top cancers affecting Singaporean men, especially those above 50 years old. Every year we see more and more cases, and honestly, it keeps me up at night thinking about how many of these could have been prevented with proper awareness. What concerns me most is this. If there had been more information and less stigmatization of the subject, prostate problems could often have been avoided or detected earlier. That's exactly why I'm making this video today. Now let's address the elephant in the room: masturbation. For many years, this behavior was frowned upon and associated with completely false notions, such as it being harmful or even immoral. But you know what? Science says otherwise. Research has actually shown a direct connection between masturbation and prostate health, and as someone who has spent more than 2 decades in medicine, I can tell you that the evidence is quite compelling. Since you now know how important this topic is for prostate function, you might be wondering what else research has to say about how this behavior affects your body and health. Let me walk you through the many facets of this subject and show you how it can affect not only your prostate but also other aspects of your health. Masturbation is a human behavior common to all age groups and civilizations. However, its effects vary greatly depending on the situation and frequency, and depend on how each person integrates it into their lifestyle. Is this widespread behavior beneficial to health in general, or does it hide problems that are rarely talked about? Let's take a broader look at the connection between masturbation and men's health. For decades, masturbation has been surrounded by beliefs that not only made many people feel guilty, but also prevented others from talking about its pros and cons. Some felt that masturbation was draining their life force, while others feared it would lead to physical problems such as weakness or difficulty concentrating. I've had elderly uncles come to my clinic worried sick because someone told them at the kopitiam that this habit would make them go blind. Contemporary research, however, refutes many of these notions by showing that masturbation actually has a much more nuanced function. For example, masturbation can be an effective method of reducing stress, which has a direct impact on mental and physical well-being. The body releases endorphins and dopamine, which create feelings of relaxation and well-being. In a society like Singapore, where so many people are pushed to their limits with work and family obligations, this can be very useful despite the pressures and fast pace of life. It has been shown that regular relaxation sessions improve immune function, lower cortisol levels, the well-known stress hormone, and improve sleep quality. For those of you working long hours in the CBD or running your own business, this is particularly relevant lah. The effect on the cardiovascular system is another fascinating aspect. Masturbation increases blood circulation, which can promote heart health. Just like other intimate activities, it helps improve blood flow, although the cardiovascular benefits are not as great as those of running or walking. By preventing congestion and promoting good oxygenation, it is also crucial for the health of the pelvic region. But it's not just the benefits we need to talk about. masturbation, like any other behavior, should be viewed from a balanced perspective. Compulsive practice can disrupt other aspects of life, including relationships with others, productivity, and even mental health. A cycle of emotional and even physical dependency can arise when some people masturbate as a coping mechanism for unpleasant feelings. At this point, it's important to recognize when a habit no longer provides benefits and becomes a problem. I had a patient once, a retiree in his late 60s from Bedok, who came to see me because his wife was concerned. He was spending hours alone watching adult content, and the intimacy in their marriage had completely disappeared. This is a real issue that we need to address openly. We must keep in mind that the effects of masturbation change throughout a person's life. There may be a more pragmatic connection to prostate health in older men, but for teenagers and young adults, it may be associated with exploring one's body and intimacy. The optimal balance can vary depending on the stage of life, and what works today may need to be changed later. Against this background, the basic idea is that masturbation is normal behavior. One must be aware of this in order to understand when and how it can be harmful and when it can be useful. This is an essential step in maintaining overall health and prostate health. Always remember that everyone is different. What suits one person may not suit another, and it's important to consider how the habit affects your own life. Now, let me share some findings that might truly surprise you. As you've seen, masturbation can be both a problem and an ally depending on how it's practiced. Let's now turn to a topic that will really surprise you: facts, results, and scientific illustrations that contradict preconceived opinions about this practice. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to learn can change your understanding of how important it is to maintain the health of your intimate area. Let's first look at a fact that is, to put it mildly, interesting. According to the Harvard University study I mentioned earlier, men who ejaculate more than 21 times per month are significantly less likely to develop prostate cancer than those who ejaculate less than 7 times per month. Despite its seemingly arbitrary nature, this figure has a reason for being. By eliminating potentially harmful compounds that can accumulate over time, ejaculations contribute to prostate detoxification. This finding confirms that choosing the right frequency is important both for health prevention and for enjoyment. You may be even more surprised to learn that this effect is not limited to masturbation. Intimate activities and even erotic dreams that trigger spontaneous ejaculation can play a similar role. This indicates that regularity of ejaculation is more important to prostate health than the specific cause of ejaculation. This reminds us that our body is very adaptable and constantly seeking balance. The effect that masturbation can have on the immune system is another fascinating truth that few people are aware of. According to research, there is a temporary increase in white blood cells, which are essential for fighting infections and strengthening the immune system during masturbation. In other words, masturbation could help strengthen the body's defenses and reduce stress, especially during times when the body is more vulnerable, such as during high stress or seasonal changes. For those of you who always seem to catch a cold during the year-end holidays or Chinese New Year period, this might be something to think about. And that's not all. Additionally, studies have shown that masturbation helps lower blood pressure, especially in people with moderate hypertension. This phenomenon is due to the release of oxytocin and other hormones during orgasm, which relax blood vessels, improve circulation, and at the same time, lower blood pressure. This is proof that the effects of this practice go far beyond the realm of intimacy, even though it cannot replace medical care. For my patients on blood pressure medication, I always tell them this is not a replacement for your amlodipine, okay? But it can be a complementary approach to overall health. Let's now take an example that may seem paradoxical. When we look at the human body as a whole, it takes on its full meaning. Frequent ejaculations could, in certain situations, drain the body's energy and lead to fatigue or even cause a weakening of the reproductive system, as described in certain cultures and traditional medical systems like Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. This reminds us that moderation is essential, even if modern science does not generally agree with this view. Even seemingly healthy behaviors can be dangerous if used excessively or improperly. Finally, the connection between masturbation and emotional health is often overlooked. Although we just addressed the topic of stress reduction, it's important to remember that masturbation can also play a role in emotional well-being. For some people, it's a beneficial approach to connecting with their body and exploring their intimacy. However, it can become an obstacle to self-knowledge and mental health when used as a coping strategy to avoid dealing with difficult feelings. It's important to understand how and why you engage in this behavior. Now, how can I put all this into practice to ensure that this habit actually improves my health and well-being, you ask? This is the main question that brings us to the next point. We will go even further and look at findings and tactics that could have a significant impact on your life. The way you take care of your intimate health could be dramatically changed by what you learn here. So far, we've looked at how masturbation works. It can be both a healthy, normal habit and a problem that needs to be balanced and addressed. Regarding its effects on mental and physical health, we also found some unexpected, even interesting information. It's time to move on. Let's look at the facts, science, evidence, and helpful tactics that can help you maximize this habit without compromising your health. Now it's time to turn all this information into actionable steps with meaningful impact. One of the most important things to recognize is the direct connection between a balanced lifestyle and prostate health, as well as general well-being. For example, frequent ejaculations are helpful, but only part of the equation. According to some studies, physical exercise has a significant impact on prostate health. Regular walks, for example, can reduce the risk of inflammation and improve blood circulation in the pelvis. Therefore, combining exercise with intimate activity or masturbation is an effective tactic. I always tell my patients at the clinic, go for your morning walk at East Coast Park or Bishan Park, then take care of your other health needs. It's all connected lah. Diet is another important factor, and this is something I want to emphasize because I know many of you enjoy your char kway teow and nasi lemak. A diet rich in antioxidants such as red fruits, green tea, and tomatoes that contain a lot of lycopene can help protect the prostate from damage caused by free radicals. Zinc is necessary for normal prostate function. Zinc-rich foods as well as nuts and seeds are valuable allies. Combined with moderate masturbation, these eating habits form a solid foundation for good health. Speaking of natural remedies, let me share something that many of my patients have found helpful. Saw Palmetto, which we call Serenoa repens in medical terms, has been shown in studies to support prostate health. Pumpkin seeds are another excellent option. They're rich in zinc and you can easily find them at any NTUC or cold storage. Some of my patients also take pecnogenol supplements, around 160 million daily, and report improvements in their symptoms. But please, always consult your doctor before starting any supplement, okay? What works for your friend may not be suitable for you. Let's now turn to a less obvious topic, the effect of sleep. Research suggests that prolonged sleep deprivation can increase the risk of prostate dysfunction and dysregulate levels of intimacy hormones, including testosterone. That's why relaxation is just as important as any other health habit. Remember that masturbation should not replace sleep or other necessary activities. Balance is crucial in this situation too. I know many of you are retired already, but some still keep very irregular sleep schedules. Try to maintain consistent sleeping hours lah. The influence of emotional state is often overlooked. People who experience a lot of stress or worry may resort to masturbation as a coping mechanism. Although this can temporarily reduce stress, it's important to treat the root cause. The temptation to use masturbation as a means of emotional release can be alleviated through stress reduction techniques such as yoga, meditation, and mindfulness. For people who believe that the practice is turning into compulsive behavior, this is particularly important. Here in Singapore, we have excellent resources at IMH and various community centers that offer mindfulness programs. How does this compare to the use of pornography? This is a sensitive topic that is closely linked to the habit for many people. Pornography can be stimulating, but excessive consumption is associated with problems such as desensitization to intimate pleasure and exaggerated expectations of intimacy. For people who want to maintain a more balanced relationship with masturbation and consequently their personal health, limiting or avoiding pornography is a wise decision. I've seen this pattern repeatedly in my clinic. Men who consume excessive pornography often develop unrealistic expectations and find it difficult to maintain intimacy with their actual partners. This creates a vicious cycle that affects not just physical health, but relationships and mental well-being too. Let me also address something that came up in conversations with some of my patients. Some men worry that masturbation at an older age is somehow inappropriate or that they should have outgrown it by now. Let me be very clear about this. Sexual health is health at any age. There's nothing shameful about taking care of this aspect of your well-being, whether you're 50, 60, 70, or beyond. For those of you experiencing symptoms like frequent urination, difficulty starting or stopping urination, weak urine flow, or feeling like your bladder isn't empty after urinating, please don't wait until it becomes unbearable. These could be signs of benign prostatic hyperplasia or other conditions that need medical attention. Early detection makes treatment so much easier and more effective. In conclusion, what I want you to take away from today's discussion is this. Masturbation, when practiced in moderation, can be a beneficial part of maintaining prostate health. The research supports this, but like everything in life, balance is key. Combine it with regular exercise, a healthy diet rich in antioxidants and zinc, adequate sleep, and stress management techniques. Don't rely solely on this habit for your prostate health. Get your regular screenings, especially if you're above 50. Here in Singapore, we have excellent healthcare facilities and screening programs. Take advantage of them. Talk to your doctor openly about any concerns. We've heard it all, and trust me, nothing you say will shock us. And finally, if you found this information helpful, please share it with the men in your life, your brothers, your friends, your colleagues. The more we talk about these topics openly, the more lives we can potentially save. Prostate cancer and other prostate conditions are largely manageable when caught early, but that requires awareness and willingness to address these topics without embarrassment. Take care of yourselves, gentlemen. Your health matters, and so does every aspect of it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I try to respond when I can, and your questions might help other viewers who are wondering the same things. Until next time, stay healthy, stay informed, and remember, there's no shame in taking care of your body at any age.